Welcome, I'm Warren Brand, and today I'm out visiting Winchester with my wife. She's my tour guide for the day, as she knows the city very well from her childhood. We start our tour today at the Old City Bridge, which dates back to 1831. On the north side is the Old Mill. The River Itchen gushes through underneath before it continues on under the bridge. Standing on the bridge looking south, the river cuts through between the buildings. It's remarkable how much water passes under the bridge on an ordinary summer's day. We walked along the riverbank, leaving the traffic and pubs behind for a while. As the water went past, the day seemed to take on a state of calmness, and we enjoyed the peace along the path. The information plate here describes how the river alignment was changed back in Roman times to reduce the risk of flooding in the city centre and around the cathedral. However, a few days after filming, the area was flooded due to heavy rain. In the description below, I'll add some links for news articles and photos. With the medieval city walls on our right, we approach the entrance to Woolsey Castle. This castle is full of history and well worth a visit. We didn't stay long today as it was raining, but in good weather the ruins would be well worth a lengthy exploration. Although the site is in ruins, there's quite a lot of the old walls to show the layout and the impressive scale of the castle as it would have been when Bishop Wolvesey was here. Back out and ambling along some of the side streets, we came across some lovely shops. A bookshop is here, and others worthy of a good rummage if you have the time. Through the old gate, we passed into the Close, outside the Pilgrim School. This was a weekend day during the summer, but I can imagine this place being very busy with students in their smart uniforms arriving and leaving school on a weekday. And then the wonderful cathedral filled the view ahead. Looking at the stonework and the design features of the very impressive building, I bet the routine maintenance is constant. Walking around to the other side, past the War Memorial, the grassy space and the tree-lined track opens up and the scale of the cathedral is then apparent. We planned to return later, so continued along our route. Just outside the cathedral's grounds is the square, a lovely group of shops, cafes and restaurants. We picked one to return to later on for our lunch stop. Around the pavement there are many old bollards, each carefully painted with a different design. Some tell a story, while others are just brightly decorated. We cut through the gap to join the old main high street, right by the ancient cross. Known locally as the Butter Cross, the origins of the site go back to the Middle Ages. It seems rather overshadowed now by the nearby buildings. Looking up the old high street, spot the recent graffiti on the ground which reminds the visitor to retain their social distancing due to the current COVID-19 issues. I'm sure the paint will wear away more quickly than we will get over the impact of this horrid virus. At the top of the high street is the ancient roadway arch in the old city wall. This is the original western gateway for the city. It wasn't so long ago that traffic was allowed to drive through it, but these days the road sneaks around to the side. From Westgate, we curved around past some relatively new but ornate stone buildings towards the Great Hall. We didn't have time to go in there today, but the Round Table and many other historic artefacts are there to admire. There's not much left of the old castle just here, but the ruins of the foundations can be viewed from the high pavements around. This old stone carving depicts the Hampshire rose and crown, one of the best of its kind, I think. We circled around a little and approached Westgate again to return back down the high street to find the cafe for our lunch. For a summer's weekend, even though it was a little bit rainy today, there were hardly any visitors to Winchester out in the streets. After our lunch, my wife and I wandered back up the high street and then curved north right a little, past the railway line towards the station. North Walls Park, near the leisure centre and the recreation grounds, is lovely at this time of year. The calm stream, ducks, trees and grass all fit together so well. If we'd brought a picnic along, it would have been a very pleasant stopping point for our lunch. Back at the cathedral, this time approaching from the northwest side, we admired its setting in the grassy grounds. Back on our trail, we found a lovely little walled garden between some buildings. The curious water feature seemed to be part of a stream, but with no apparent way for the water to enter or leave. The garden is just off Colebrook Street. It was difficult to get any kind of good views of the slightly more modern Guildhall. I say more modern, it dates back to 1873, built in the Gothic Revival style, but rather newer than some of the buildings we explored today. We didn't have time to go in, but apparently there are some impressive paintings and a large public hall. The well-kept Abbey Gardens is a surprisingly large space. Not many built-up towns or cities boast this sort of lovely garden. We wandered around before heading off for the last part of our Winchester tour. At this busy road junction on the eastern edge of Winchester dominantly stands the statue of King Alfred. The bronze statue was erected in 1899 to mark the 1,000 years since his death. I wonder what the great king would say as he looks down on the cars and lorries today, bearing in mind that in his life he would have seen just horses and carts. And this so concludes today's visit to Winchester. I've left a few notes in the description below. Thanks for watching and bye for now.